Did you know there are 11 million diaper-age babies in the US? And on average, each baby uses 65 diapers per week. That equals to over 37 billion disposable diapers thrown away every year in the US alone. Believe it or not, diapers make up 30% of non-biodegradable waste in US landfills. That sounds like an industry that really needs cleaning up. I'm Daniel Hartz, and this is the Sustainability Champions podcast, where we feature the people, ideas, and innovations that are protecting and healing the planet. Today, I'm speaking with Liz Turrigiano, co-founder and CEO of Esembly. Esembly is a company that's created a diapering system designed for sustainability by enabling families to live less disposably. Remember those 65 diapers per week? Well, when you use the Esembly system, you'll only need 48 diapers from birth through potty training. And that's 48 diapers total because they're made to last. You can even pass them on to younger siblings, cousins, or friends. I'm really looking forward to learning about how Liz and the team at Esembly are tackling the 30% of non-biodegradable landfill waste. Thank you very much for joining me, Liz.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And where are you taking the call from?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
Very, very nice. And it's a hot day today, so very envious of you, because here in London it's a bit cooler. And but today I'd like to discuss three things. Really, number one, how in the world is Esembly reducing the number of disposable diapers in landfills, because that's an insane number, and really your path to starting Esembly, because I think it's a really interesting opportunity. And finally, just some pointers on what parents can do, or parents to be can do, to be more sustainable in their daily lives. So before we jump into it, I'd love to hear, basically in your own words, briefly, what Esembly does.
Yeah, great. So Esembly is a complete sustainable diapering system that helps parents radically reduce their diaper waste. And you touched on just how much diaper waste that is. So what Esembly is exactly is a full product line, everything from reusable organic diapers to skincare to storage bags, and then the laundry products necessary to clean and reuse those items. And we accompany those products with super informative, clear, easy to use instructions so that parents feel confident and excited to make this choice.
Got it. Well, I think the first thing I would imagine a parent, I'm not a parent, I look forward to that day, but the very first thing I would imagine that would come to mind is, isn't it gross to reuse diapers? And I'm assuming you get this question all the time.
We do. And yeah, I mean, it would be gross if you weren't cleaning them, but you're cleaning them and then reusing them. So it's not unlike, your dishes. Like, think about when you make a big pot of marinara sauce or something, and you have all these dishes that are covered in red sauce. You have the pot that you cooked it in. And what do? You give them a little rinse and you load them in the dishwasher, and the dishwasher does the work. So it's really not any different with your diapers. You store them in a bag, and then twice a week you dump them into your washing machine, and you let the washing machine and the detergent do the work for you. So it's really not very gross. And, having a kid comes with getting a little bit more comfortable with pee and poop, because you're going to be changing 10 to 12 diapers a day.
Wow. And so those 10 to 12 diapers a day, that's the 65 number on average that you're preventing from going to waste.
Yep.
And so when was that moment that you really decided to start Esembly?
So it was actually about 11 years ago. I was working in advertising as an art producer, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and really feeling, as I was making all those big decisions that you make as an expecting parent about breastfeeding, diapering, co-sleeping, baby wearing, all these things that are talked about and you really know very little about. And I started doing my research, and my husband and I were just very uncomfortable with the amount of waste that disposable diapers create. And we just didn't feel like it matched up to our lifestyle. We compost, we recycle, we're mindful about riding our bikes to work, all of these things that we do to live a more sustainable life. And we suddenly felt like, are we really going to be comfortable throwing away 65 diapers per week in the garbage, where we know they're going to sit for, centuries?
Yeah.
So we started to explore the idea of reusable diapers. And coincidentally, one of my fellow producers at the agency approached me and asked if I would be willing to test a cloth diaper service that she was planning to launch in Brooklyn in New York City. And I immediately said yes. And as soon as my daughter was born, we, Sarah and I exchanged these very producer-esque emails about ways to enhance the service and expand it to all the 5 boroughs. And before I knew it, I was, 5 or 6 weeks into my maternity leave, and I had joined on as her partner. And then it's sort of that business is called Diaperkind, and that service launched in New York in April of 2009 and continues to grow and thrive, and really was the foundation for which we created Esembly. So Diaperkind is a weekly service. We send, if you live within the 5 boroughs of New York City, we supply you with the diapers, we pick them up, drop them off, and launder them for you weekly. The reason this was so important in a city like New York is you have lots of eco-minded people who don't have access to their own personal washer and dryer.
Right.
So the service made sense. What we started to learn over the years is that people outside of New York City that have easy access to a washer and dryer were less interested in paying someone to do the laundry for them and more interested in having people help them get started on their own. So New York being such a transient place, we found ourselves in year 3, 4, and 5 of Diaperkind, helping a lot of families, consulting with them to how to home launder when they moved out of the city to the suburbs or to California or whatnot. And that really was when the idea for Esembly was born. It's like Diaperkind was doing such a bang up job about reducing disposable diaper waste in the city, but we were limited by the geographic boundaries of our delivery zone. So the idea for Esembly was to take all of that knowledge in diaper design, laundry science, skincare, the wants and needs of modern parents, and put it into a system that's DIY that families can do at home. And so that's where Esembly came.
That's very cool. So Diaperkind is that still in operation for New York? Okay.
Yep.
And so Esembly is essentially the equivalent of Diaperkind for anyone outside of
global. Yeah, exactly. It was our way of solving that disposable diaper problem globally.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So how does Esembly actually work from the point of view? Because there's a whole system to it, as you said. It's a diapering system. So what is the system?
Right. So the system is made up of 4 parts: diapers, skincare, storage, and laundry. So with the diapers themselves, it's a 2-piece diaper. It's the inner that goes against your baby's skin is GOTS certified organic cotton. It gets covered up by an outer cover, which is like the colorful, cute print. And that keeps everything contained and waterproof. And we make our outers of 100% recycled post-consumer plastic bottles.
Oh, wow.
So you're literally turning trash into treasure by using bottles, that are being discarded. And then it has storage bags. So you have a storage bag for day use for when you're just out and about with your baby. And then you have your bigger storage bag that houses the dirties until you're laundering twice a week. We have skincare. When you're reusing your diapers, you want to be mindful that the skincare products that you're using against your baby's skin will indeed wash out. So we have a full line of skincare products that are both great for baby skin and dealing with irritation or rash, and also cloth safe, so they'll wash out of your diapers. And then the biggie that we brought into the line is the laundering products. So I think that most people, when they are approached with the idea of reusable diapers, the biggest hang up is, well, how do I wash them? And how do I know that they're getting clean? And there's unfortunately a plethora of false and misinformation online that tends to scare parents away from this process. And here we were at Diaperkind, we washed between 15 and 20,000 diapers per week. And so we're sitting here listening to parents being so hesitant about like, oh, but it's going to be hard. And how do I do it? And we're like, look, if it was hard, we'd be long out of business. Like, we're washing 20,000 diapers a week. So we formulated a washing powder that is based on the chemistry that we use at our service. So we worked with our chemist of 7 or 8 years at that point, and he helped us come up with the perfect product for washing in a home machine that mimics the way that we do so commercially at the service. And to go along with that washing powder is a 4-step wash instruction process. So families, when they order Esembly, they literally get the wash instructions on a magnet that they can stick to the side of their washer or dryer. And it gives them the 4 steps of how to properly clean the diaper. So it really, I think for new and expecting parents, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of something that might be, perceived as complicated or difficult. And it just really makes it as easy as dumping something into the washing machine, putting a scoop of detergent in, and pressing start.
Yeah, I think that's really easy. That the magnet is a really clever thing.
Yeah.
There's like no excuses there, because it's like
Right.
you can't even lose it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
on the washing machine.
It is. And, everything that we've done for the brand is, we are parents ourselves, and we've been in that overwhelmed, sleep deprived state that many of our customer and Esembly families are. And so really we made decisions in, design and development, and just the little extras like the magnet that we knew would be helpful to parents because we've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a subscription involved. Is that right?
Yes.
So what are,
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
So the thing with Esembly is it's a combination of one-time purchase, like the diapers and the bags and all of the textile items, and then recurring purchases that you're going to go through, on a regular basis, like skincare and laundry detergent. So we've set up a subscription for those products. So a family who never wants to have to worry about running out of laundry detergent can set up a subscription to have a bag delivered to them every month or every other month, and then they can add on, Rash Cream or Everyday Balm or things like that.
Makes sense. At the beginning, when I was doing the little intro, I mentioned that that some of these diapers are actually passed on to other family members. Sorry.
Yeah, they're made to last. They're made to diaper multiple babies. And so one of the biggest advantages to the Esembly system is that you're going to save about $2,000 per baby.
Wow.
Instead of buying and discarding disposable after disposable after disposable, you're buying diapers that get reused and washed. And so you're going to save about $2,000 for that first baby. If you then set those diapers aside and use them on a second baby or pass them on to a friend or family member, there's an additional savings built in there. So our diapers are definitely designed and produced to diaper, a number of babies.
And so is that something, based on the customers that you've worked with, is that something that happens frequently?
Yeah. I mean, Esembly is fairly new. We only launched in the fall of last year. So there's only been a small percentage of babies that are outgrowing and moving on. But in diaper, through Diaper, we know that that's a thing. Families will buy diapers and save them and diaper multiple babies with them. And we also, for Esembly, we have a recycle resell program. So if that's your last child, you don't plan on reusing them, you can sell them back to us. Or if the diapers are just like lived their best life and they're done, then we'll recycle them through a textile recycler for the family.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we just, our whole goal is to make sure nothing ever ends up in a landfill. Yeah. So it's like, we'll take it back, we'll buy it back, we'll recycle it for you. Just whatever you do, don't throw it away.
Don't throw it away. I think that's really, really important because, well, actually that kind of leads me to a slightly devil's advocate question, which is, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of companies out there who are making compostable or biodegradable, nappies or diapers or products in general. Why, we were talking about kind of the fear that parents have about maybe reusing the diapers. That would almost seem like a compostable version would be a really sort of easy way to do both. You get to use a clean one every single time. I'm using clean in quotation marks plus
sure.
Because obviously yours are clean, while also not needing to worry about reusing it, and you can just compost them.
Yeah. I mean, I can speak a lot to that, and we've done a lot of research in that over the years. The simplest way to say is the only true way to reduce your impact is to reduce your consumption. Single-use products, regardless of what the biodegradability factor of the materials that go into them, they are still products that a whole lot of energy is going into the production of. You're going to use it for a short period of time and then discard it. So that is just not sustainable given the large number of our population, globally. But over the last few years, yes, a subset of eco-friendly, I'm using that in quotes, disposable diapers have hit the shelves, and they claim that they're better for the environment. But the reality is that they are made of the same non-renewable raw materials like oil and minerals, and renewable but environmentally taxing raw materials like wood pulp, fiber, and bamboo as every other disposable. So when you think about it, even the disposables that claim to be made compostable or biodegradable, unfortunately, they will not effectively biodegrade when they are placed in a regular municipal landfill, because those landfills lack the light, water, bacterial activity required for the decay process to begin. So while the diapers themselves are being made of materials that can technically biodegrade or compost, the systems are not there on the back end to achieve that. And even if you were to find a facility that will compost your bio waste, because diapers fall under the bio waste category because they have human feces in them. So even if you find a facility that will compost bio waste, there is a very limited use to what that compost can be used for because of the human waste that is in it. So it cannot be used for agriculture. It cannot be used for parks and playgrounds where people play and touch the soil. So it has, it can be used on like golf courses, and like it has a very limited use. So if you think about those 37 billion disposables that are being thrown away, if suddenly we did have the infrastructure to compost and biodegrade all of those diapers magically, what the heck would you do with all that compost?
Right. So yeah, I mean, you'd have to make a lot of golf courses.
Yes.
Okay, well that's a really interesting point, because clearly it's not. It seems like the thought is there and the intention is there, but the actual way it's implemented isn't quite right. You mentioned also something very interesting at the beginning, which is the amount of energy it takes, and that's I think something that is easily forgotten. At least certainly that's something that I easily forget when I'm looking at products on the shelf. Is you forget that if you have to buy it more than once, it has to be made again and again and again. Whereas the whole purpose of making it reusable is the fact that it's made once, and ideally only once. And I think that's a really, really important point. You mentioned that the inners are organic.
Yeah, the inners are certified organic cotton.
And what's the benefit of making sure that the cotton is organic?
I mean, cotton is one of the dirtiest crops on the planet to grow and produce. And so for us, we felt like we're consuming so much of it, we're buying so much cotton, that we really wanted to do it in the most responsible way. So organic cotton, it is safer for the farmers that grow it and for the land and the surrounding land that is around the fields in which it's grown. So it just felt like we were supporting the right industry in that regard.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And plus, I mean, so the inners are the part that actually touch the baby's skin.
Yes.
And yeah, the less pesticides you have in that, I assume, the better.
Exactly.
One of the most interesting things that I saw about your product is the benefits to the baby is from the point of view of potty training. That was a little bit surprising. Can you talk about that a little bit? That's amazing.
Yes. So babies in natural fiber diapers like cotton, they tend to potty train on average, 10 to 12 months sooner than babies in disposable diapers. And the reason is, or the reason we suspect, is that disposables are loaded with that sodium polyacrylate gel, which does such a bang up job about wicking moisture away from the baby's skin, and it holds it in these little gelatin pockets throughout the diaper. And it leaves an older child, like an 18-month, 2-year-old, with no ability to correlate the sensation of needing to pee with the feeling of it after. So it gives the parents virtually no tool with which to potty train. So when you're in a cotton diaper, an older child that's able to communicate and understand cause and effect can really start the potty training process as early as 17, 18 months. So the national age, because they're able to feel the sensation of the pee after they've gone, and the parents have tools with which to communicate and explain the potty training process to their kids. So the national age in the US that babies potty train is about 33 to 36 months. And at Diaper Kind, which we've been running for 11 years, we lose families at 23 to 24 months to potty training on average. So it is lopping, a year off your child's time in diapers, which is not only, financially advantageous for families. The less time that you're buying diapers, paying for a service, or washing them, the more money you're going to save. But it's also just in terms of like the ick factor, like diapering a baby and diapering a newborn is really not a big deal. Diapering a 2.5 to 3-year-old is just, that's like beyond. That's a real person eating real food, running around. And, my daughter potty trained at 22 or 23 months. And my son, who was just like slower at everything, I don't think we effectively potty trained him until he was 26 or 27 months, which, in my mind, it was like I was diapering someone in college. I was just so annoyed that I was still doing it. And so yeah, most families that we work with, and they are potty trained by 2, and it's a real benefit to using the system.
Yeah, well, that's I think that's fantastic, and also, like you said, it's 1 year less that you need to deal with that
Hmm.
at the very least. Which I
Yep.
would imagine, like the fewer months you have to do that, the better. Um, so one of the things I noticed on your website, which I really liked, is this idea of personal behavior change. Um,
Yeah.
as compared to policy and regulatory changes, because I think there's a lot of pressure right now on governments and organizations and companies to make changes. And I think that's really important. I also think, and that's a big part of what Sustainability Champions stands for, is
Hmm.
personal behavior change, because we are individuals and we can make decisions. So I wanted to kind of hear your thoughts on why you believe personal behavior change is, as you say, arguably more sustainable.
I think it's the drive, really. So when you think about it, over generations, we've come to rely on the convenience of throwaway items, choosing items that end up in the trash over quality products that we use again and again. And I think a lot of us struggle with the thought of, well, I'm just one person, how much impact can I really have? And the answer is a lot, because you're one person of millions. So
Mhm.
think millions of people just like you making billions of singular decisions every day, and what a huge impact that can have. So policy and regulatory changes are hugely important. There's no denying that. But they're not enough on their own. The personal behavior change is equally as important and more sustainable, because it's coming from the source. Policy changes can happen, and one administration can put them in, and then a number of years later another administration comes in and wipes them out. But if the demand for change comes at the grassroots level from the people making these shifts every day in their consumer purchases and their habits, it's going to drive the policy to happen and stay.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the voting with your dollar, or
Yep.
with whatever currency you have, is so powerful, because you start, as you're saying, you're showing where the demand is,
Yep.
and you're taking demand away from one company that you don't believe in or agree with, and putting it into another one. And companies see it. Companies are very, very focused on how much money they're making. That's
Yep.
basically why they started it. And so if they can start seeing that things are dipping down and other areas are dipping up, they will, yeah, they'll change.
Yeah, they
Uh,
will respond accordingly. I mean, we see it all the time. If everybody stopped using plastic bags tomorrow, there would be no reason to produce plastic bags. So it
exactly.
has to start from that level.
Yeah. In addition to, of course, using Diaper Kind or Assembly, what other pieces of advice could you give parents who want to be more environmentally friendly in their daily lives?
I think I think again, it goes back to do what's gonna stick, do what's gonna work for you. So my best advice is to seek out sustainable products that are not just better for the environment, but that serve your family better too. And
Hmm.
and they do exist. Just because a product is eco-friendly does not mean you should have to sacrifice function. So when we talk about the Assembly diapering system, it's going to save you money. And the other, it's going to help your child potty train earlier. But the other advantage is that disposable diapers are notorious for leaking and blowing out. Any new parent's going to talk about their like horrific story about diaper explosion at the most inconvenient
Oh,
time.
God.
And we've just, as a society, we've just accepted it as par for the course of having a diaper age child. But it doesn't have to be that way. So here you have an Assembly diaper that's designed to be leak and blowout proof. Nothing gets past that outer layer. So now you have a diaper that's not only better for the environment, better for your pocketbook, better for the baby in terms of earlier potty training, but it also doesn't leak. So it's overall, it's creating an ease in the family unit that you wouldn't get from the disposable counterpart. So it gives those sustainable choices that you're making, an extra added advantage, that makes it easier to stick with.
I think that's a really important point. That's I think it's, yeah, kind of one of the challenges that a lot of sustainability focused companies sometimes have, is that the alternative isn't better, which makes
Mhm.
it challenging, because the only reason why you would do it is because you just care so much.
Right.
But for the average individual who maybe doesn't care as much, it proves
Right.
to be a very challenging. There's no reason for them to
Yeah.
make the change.
There isn't, and I think it's naive on the part of those companies to think that just knowing that you're doing the right thing is enough when the product is inferior. Like, I am deeply committed to the environment and to sustainability, but I'm also, you know, a working mother with 2 young kids and a husband that works full time, and there's corners that have to be cut just to get through the day. So you know, as much as I want to always be putting my best foot forward, I make an effort to seek out products that are better than their disposable counterpart, in addition to being better for the planet. I don't think that many of us in this day and age are in the position to make such extreme compromises. And I challenge the companies creating sustainable products to step it up. It is possible to make them better than the alternative.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, you're proving it. You're proving that it absolutely is possible. And the other thing is that when you find a solution that works better than the disposable one or the less environmentally friendly one, then people are actually more likely to use it anyway.
Exactly.
Regardless of the fact of that it's environmentally friendly. Plus, like you said, there's all these other benefits, like saving money, better for the child. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. And yeah, if you start finding little tweaks, this is what I'm noticing in my life. I find little tweaks that are really, really easy to maintain. You know, like little ones, like changing the type of sponge I use for washing dishes, super easy. And it turns out actually that you don't need to throw a sponge away every, like, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, or make it last for a month and then it becomes really gross. And like I use a loofah and it lasts forever.
Right.
And it's great.
Yep.
So
exactly. It's little changes like that. And you might think when you're making that sponge purchase that, like, oh, I'm just one person buying a different sponge, but like, you're one of millions of people. And if everybody starts doing that, it's going to be, you know, the sea change.
Plus there's the factor of like the word of mouth. I mean, you know, if one of your customers says, you know, I've changed to Esembly, it's a game changer. Like life is so much easier. That gets around, you know, it really, so one person can make a huge difference because it's like the classic pebble in the water making waves. So one other question that I think is fun to ask, it's a little bit of a quote unquote wild card, I guess, which is who's like a sustainability champion that you admire?
Oh, that's such a great question. There's actually this woman, Leah Thomas. You can follow her on Instagram at Green Girl Leah. She just sort of recently blew up, but she coined the term intersectional environmentalism, which basically is defined as an inclusive version of environmentalism that advocates for both the protection of people and the planet. And it, you know, she helps identify the ways in which injustice is happening to marginalized communities and injustices happening within the earth are interconnected. And I think she's just really super smart and just really has her finger on the pulse of the needs of all of these different facets of environmentalism right now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, check her out. It sounds familiar. Maybe I've been following her and I don't realize, but yeah, that's great. At Green Girl Leah.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the recommendation. So if people want to try Esembly out and see how much better it really is, what's the best way for them to get started and learn more about your system?
Yeah, so our website, assemblybaby.com, really was designed for, you know, we have a comprehensive how it works page with little animated videos and step-by-step instructions so that you really get an overview. You can read about our impact or about your impact and our promise. You can peruse the products. On the site also, we've created an Assemble Your System portal, which works as a personal shopping portal for new parents. So you go in, you answer a few questions about your family, about your baby, and then it walks you through each of the product categories. And based on the answers to your questions, it recommends which products and which quantities and the size is best for you. So lots of new parents that are just thinking about how this could work in their home find that very helpful. And then also follow us on Instagram at assemblybaby.
Excellent. And do you ship, I think I heard you mention that you ship globally, is that correct?
We do, yeah.
Excellent. So anyone around the world can get involved and contribute to reducing billions and billions and billions of disposable diapers. That's excellent. Well, Liz, thank you so much for your time. Really great to hear about the work you're doing. And I love the fact that you're taking the step to create a product that is both actually better, just in general, and at the same time, environmentally friendly while having so many other ancillary benefits. So that's really, really cool. So thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star rating. And also, please subscribe, whether on your podcast app or on YouTube. And that way you can be the first to know about new episodes. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.